The sleek front suspension of Roland Ratzenberger's Van Diemen Formula Ford racing car. The sleek lines for slipstreaming, the suspension for cornering, and there Roland Ratzenberger in the cockpit on pole position, undefeated so far, now facing the 20-lap final, the most important race of his career so far. Sharing the front row, the only other man yet to be beaten in the Formula Ford Festival, Swiss driver Phillipe Favre, looking to win the festival. Behind the front row, on the inside of the second row, we have the only other top British driver still running, Stephen Robertson, doing really well, sharing the second row with Jyrki Järveletto, the unknown Finn, who's only 20-year-old, won the Euro Series, haven't been racing much over in England. And on the third row, Peter Rogers coming back to Formula Ford, going very well in the laser, and sharing that third row with Dutchman Gerald van Uytert. Most of these drivers all race in the British Formula Ford Championship, which is the major Formula Ford Championship in the world. Järveletto is the strange name to us, but sadly we have lost our own British champion, Jason Elliott, the 19-year-old, went out earlier on in the series, as did Paul Warwick, the 17-year-old brother of Derek Warwick. He went out, and also Gary Isles. So we lost 3 top British drivers, and the British hopes remain with Stephen Robertson and Peter Rogers. The red light goes on, ready to flick green for the start of the first edition Formula Ford Festival Final, and into the lead goes Roland Ratzenberger from pole position, chased by Phillipe Favre, and the rest of the pack storming up to paddock bend for the first of 20 laps. All safely through paddock, up to Druids, and there is Ratzenberger out front from Favre, Robertson, Järveletto, Van Uytert in 5th place, and the rest of the pack screaming through. Ratzenberger got that oh-so-important start. He's made the break. He's ahead of Favre, Robertson, Järveletto. Peter Rogers, in fact, doing well in 5th, ahead of Van Uytert. Into clearways for the first time. The leaders all playing it sensibly. There's Van Uytert. A bit of a gaggle weaving and banging through clearways, but again, everybody getting through for the first lap as they stream out onto top straight with Ratzenberger and Favre, the 2 favourites for this final, beginning to edge away from the pack, led by Robertson. The form so far this weekend has shown these 2 in a class of their own, and it looks as though it's going to be that way with these 2 edging away from Robertson. Van Uytert then about 6th place ahead of McGarity from Northern Ireland in the Crosley. All safely through. Robertson, though, for Great Britain, chasing up in 3rd place, but need to move away from 4th place man. He's trying to join these leading 2. He's trying to join Ratzenberger and Favre. Favre holding on to Ratzenberger. 4th place there, Järveletto in the Reynard chassis. The other 3 ahead of him, all in Van Diemen's. So, Favre is not going to let Ratzenberger go. Up towards Paddock Hill Bend. Favre closes in under braking, not yet close enough to try and overtaking manoeuvre. Robertson free in 3rd, but diving through into 4th place there. Peter Rogers in the laser. He was the fastest man in the semi-finals, did the fastest lap time, and Rogers there we see now in 4th, ahead of Järveletto, Van Uytert and Dewhurst. So the front 3 now. Robertson doing very well to go with these 2 ahead of him. Rogers has got a lot of work to do to try and catch these front 3, and in fact he's got Järveletto right behind him. There we see Rogers. Van Uytert dives inside Järveletto, pushing him down another place just ahead of Dewhurst in the Quest. But it's Favre and Ratzenberger out front. Favre looking for any way to get by the Austrian. The Swiss shadowing him into Paddock Hill Bend now, looking for where he can overtake. Robertson hanging on. Rogers now pulling away from Van Uytert, Järveletto and Dewhurst. A good, clean start. Nobody getting lost in the early charge. There's Phil Andrews, who's had a poor festival, having had problems in practice, but up to about 9th or 10th place in the final. Through Surtees, these 2 men, both of them undefeated so far. The Austrian leads the Swiss. Rogers in 4th, Van Uytert sliding wide in 5th place. Now Favre's close enough. You have to really get into that gearbox, get the slipstream, and Favre is looking to go. He's going to hold to the outside. Now he'll try and cut back, hold a tighter line exiting paddock and get up the inside for Druids. He didn't quite do it. Ratzenberger's got that line covered, so Favre switches to the racing outside line. Robertson now closing in with the leaders duelling. This is giving Robertson the chance to chase up ahead. So Ratzenberger still holding sway. Favre looking on the inside at Surtees, which is not the place to overtake. He's just really trying to move in and out of Ratzenberger's mirrors, trying to unsettle the leader into making a mistake. The gaggle there all following through while the leaders in the background go on to Cooper Straight to finish their 5th lap. Quarter distance, 15 more hard laps for Ratzenberger to hold Favre behind. Peter Rogers there in the background, beginning to slowly close in on Robertson. He's gone a bit wide there, but he's definitely closing. So we really do have a 4-way battle here. The 2 British boys chasing hard after the Austrian and the Swiss. Down through Graham Hill Bend, flat out in 3rd gear. Peter Rogers, he was the fastest lap so far in this festival, very close to the lap record. So he has been the fastest man on a single lap. But he's been fighting his way up through the field throughout the festival, but now he looks like the challenging man. He's very close to Robertson now, and very soon I think we could have a change for that 3rd place perhaps. Here now, Rogers right in the slipstream. Off there we have at Clearways, one of the regular overtaking, and there's Dewhurst. That could well be Yarvoletto in the white car, but certainly that's Rowan Dewhurst. His festival is over. Up to Druids, still Ratzenberger holding on. So sadly, yes, it was indeed there, Yarvoletto. A great shame. The 20-year-old Finn, European champion, he's really been the sensation of this series. We haven't seen him much in this country, and he thinks he's got a great future. But the leaders, Ratzenberger still holding sway over Favre. Robertson beginning to drop away as he defends that 3rd place from Rogers. Rogers needs to get by Robertson if he's going to challenge the 2 up front. Favre still not really close enough to overtake. Shadowing him, making Ratzenberger use defensive lines, and in the background Rogers trying to find a way around Robertson. Two hectic dices. I can't help but feel if Peter Rogers here could get past Robertson, he could well catch these 2 in front. He was the quickest, but Rogers needs to get on and get past before those 2 leaders get away too far. So again, Ratzenberger gets out onto top straight, and this time Favre's closer than we've seen for a few laps. Now Favre is in overtaking range. He's in that slipstream. He's going to duck out to the left. He's going to make Ratzenberger take the tight line, and now he'll try and flick inside to hold the line. Rogers still can't get by Robertson. 5th, Van Oytert on his own after we lost Yarvoletto. 6th, McGarity. 7th, Ringo Hines, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, but there in about 13th place, Vivian Daly, brother of former Grand Prix driver Derek Daly's got his Mondial nose cone tucked underneath the nose. He's lost most of it. It won't worry him at all. It's only an aerodynamic device, so he's going to keep his head back. But Favre's still out front, putting pressure on Ratzenberger. Sadly there, Robertson being very defensive. Rogers and he now dropping back as Robertson concentrates more on defending that 3rd place than catching these 2 flying Continentals. Again, Favre there. He makes Ratzenberger take a tight line, and then he tries to tuck inside for the run up to Druids. That's always the classic way, but so far Ratzenberger's managed to take Paddock Hill Bend quick enough to get on the inside. This really is a good battle. Both these drivers, sensible drivers. They're not young hooligans, they're seasoned campaigners. But here's still that battle for 3rd. Peter Rogers must be fuming inside there. If only he could get by, he thinks, he could catch those 2 leaders. As it is, the leaders are edging away, and Robertson, we see here, taking that very defensive inside line, which is really slowing them both up, and they're dropping away from the 2 front runners. Rogers now starting a very early bird. Robertson being very rude indeed. That was really a bit more than normal Formula Ford weaving, and this is just, it's becoming a bit silly. Rogers trying the wide line to get inside Robertson. So very frustrating for Peter Rogers here. Robertson then chopped him on the straight just when he had a very good run at him for Paddock Hill Bend. Robertson rudely moved over in the middle of the straight, and it's not doing their chances of winning any good at all. So now Peter Rogers must try again. Robertson holds the inside line, no chance. So Peter Rogers tees himself up to slingshot onto the straight as he did before to get the run at Robertson on the straight. Again now, he is right in that slipstream. Again, he'll snap out. This time Robertson feeling a bit guilty about the last time. Maybe now go on Peter, he's got to outbrake and get round the outside at Paddock. But no, he's not going to do it. Robertson again holds on to that third place, and the two leaders get further and further away. So the leaders now both holding station. We're past half distance now, coming up to finish 12 laps. And still the two leaders edging away from this hectic scrap for third place. Peter Rogers very keen to get past. Again now, into that slipstream, slingshot out on the approach. Now is a lovely dive, he's dubbing in, Robertson shutting the door, and really that was justice. That was justice deserved. Robertson came to shut the door too late, and he's ended up in the wall. Hopefully Rogers won't have damaged his car. There's Peter Rogers. He had to dummy him, he dummied to the out, so now foot down Peter, see if you can catch those two leaders. There is Steve Robertson. He'll probably go and tell all and sundry that he was knocked off, but that's Formula Ford racing, and sometimes you have to be forceful to get by, and Peter Rogers was certainly that. So here we have the manoeuvre. Peter Rogers had dummied Robertson to move, he dummied down the inside, Robertson shut the door very, very late, but Peter Rogers decided enough was enough, time to come. The front wheel unfortunately flicked inside Robertson's and sent Robertson flying towards the barriers. So now, can Peter Rogers do anything about these two up front? It's really a long gap, and Ratzenberger holding off Favre with 7 laps still to go. But the gap is really fairly large, and unless these two start dicing to such an extent they slow each other up, I can't see Peter Rogers catching. Favre shadowing, looking for Ratzenberger to make his first mistake of the weekend. I haven't seen one from this young Austrian yet, and Favre will be hoping to pressure him into making one. Certainly Ratzenberger there, we have a bit of an off. That's David Germain in a Ray chassis. He's done his car no good at all. And there's Vivian Daly we see, and another rotating Tim Sugden. The backfield group beginning to get carried away with this Formula Ford final. But meanwhile, the leaders stay the same. The ever shadowing Favre. Both in Van Diemen chassis, but Ratzenberger with a Minister-tuned Ford engine and Favre with a Scholar-tuned Ford engine. So we have two tuning concerns, but Favre really is putting the pressure on. He hasn't yet shaped up to make a move, but he's ever so close. Again now, this slipstreaming effect when the car behind gets sucked along. But Favre really not quite close enough. He needs to get that nose cone in the gearbox. Again, he looks to the outside, but he's too far back to do anything about it. Ratzenberger driving with a very cool head. Favre tries to, but no chance. Ratzenberger takes the inside. Favre looks to the outside. But Ratzenberger is being very clean. He knows what he's doing. He's putting his car in the right place that he wants to be on the track. So 15 laps down. Ratzenberger still holds off. Rogers now a lonely third, the Dutchman Van Ooit at 4th, Alan McGarrity doing an excellent job in 5th, and Ringo Hine having a very good festival in 6th place. 7th there, Phil Andrews. Now again, out onto Coombs track. This time Favre does look close. This time he's right in that gearbox. The slipstream is there. He's trying to make Ratzenberger move one way or the other, trying to dummy in the mirrors. This time he's thinking of having a go. But again, Ratzenberger is very late on the brakes on that inside line and still manages to hold sway. So Roland really seems to have got this race under control. He can even stay on the inside line at Paddock and still get through without leaving that gap on the inside from Favre. laps beginning to tick off now. We're coming to the finish, the 17th lap, with only 3 left to do. Favre has got to find something from somewhere to usurp Ratzenberger in the lead. Again, this time coming on the top straight, not quite as close as he's been before. It looks a bit too much of a gap to overtake, and Ratzenberger's not been making any mistakes so far. This time, though, there you see Favre trying to pull his car inside Ratzenberger's on the run up to Jewett's, but he can't quite get close enough to edge inside that red Van Diemen that he's been following. Down Cooper Straight, only 2.5 laps left. What can Phillipe Favre, the 24-year-old Swiss, do about the 24-year-old Austrian? Two young drivers with a very good future in motor racing, and this festival's got 2 laps to run after all the heats, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Neither man's been beaten yet, but one has to lose this battle. Third gear for Paddock. This time Favre's edging that nose cone, but Ratzenberger knows exactly when to move over and take that line. Never letting Favre even get a nose cone inside his rear wheel, holding the line really to perfection. So 1.5 laps to go. Favre hasn't tried at Clearways yet, the dive inside at Clearways. Here we go through Surtees, almost flat, no chance of overtaking in third gear. But now it's the sneak to Clearways, but Ratzenberger now is being very defensive. Roland is holding the classic inside line as they go on now to start their last lap. Can Favre do anything? He is very close. Will it be all or nothing at Paddock? He's got to think of something. He's tried this manoeuvre a dozen times, and it's never paid off. And again, but this time Ratzenberger gets a bit of a slide on. Can Favre get up the inside? No. Takes the outside line. Again, Ratzenberger driving it incredibly coolly so far. Rounds Druid Bend. Really only 2 more corners left to go before Roland Ratzenberger wins this Formula Ford Festival. Favre's only chance now is Clearways, but Ratzenberger was holding a tight line there on the lap before. He looks on the inside at Surtees, no chance at all there. Ratzenberger will stick to his guns on the inside of Clearways, but Favre now is looking, he's made the slight mistake he was looking for. Ratzenberger made the mistake on the very last lap. Who's got the speed? Who's got the slingshot onto the straight? It's going to be absolutely, but the Ratzenberger has it by half the length. Having made no mistakes at all, Roland Ratzenberger slid 2 inches too wide at Clearways, let Favre that gap he'd been looking for the whole of the race, but it was just too late. If there'd been 1 more lap, Phillipe Favre would have had that lead on that lap for sure. Well, a tremendous victory for Roland Ratzenberger and a tremendous for Favre. But here we see through Surtees, Ratzenberger has been very defensive at this Clearways. He knew this was the last corner. All he had to do was hold tight, but he almost overdid it. He kept in tight, and here, just going in so tight, he slid out. There the car slides. Favre saw half an opening, and he was inside. That's what he'd hoped for the previous 19 laps. This time, on the 20th and final laps, Favre would have taken the lead at Paddock Corner, but as it was, Ratzenberger had the acceleration out on the outer line, and there was no way Favre could get him before they crossed the line inches apart. So, Roland Ratzenberger takes the Formula Ford Festival crown back to Austria. Swiss man Phillipe Favre second, Peter Rogers an excellent drive to third, Dutchman Van Ooyt fourth, Alan McGarity, Northern Ireland fifth, and Ringo Hine a very good sixth.